Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on the ACTN. My name is Steve David, I'm your host. And with me, joining me on the set today is my co-host, Narada Wilson. Narada, welcome to the set.
It's always a pleasure to be here, Steve.
And also we have Kyle Likwai. And Kyle, you the president of the Beach Soccer Association. And we have Kyle as well joining us. Kyle, this is beach soccer, and normally we say football here in Trinidad. Give us a little idea why this is soccer and not football.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, when you say the word soccer, you have to put a little U.S. accent on it, soccer, you know. But beach soccer, when it was adopted by FIFA, they were trying to, you know, create that difference between the grass version of the game and the sand version of the game. So they thought soccer would have been a way to change the terminology used from football to give it its own brand, you know, beach soccer. So it's even though it started in Brazil and it's been growing in popularity throughout the world, even the Brazilians are saying beach soccer just because of this brand. But I don't know how to translate it into Portuguese. I know Mr. Portuguese here could probably do that as well.
I bet you the Americans started this.
Well, the structure of it would have been influenced by them, but the game has been played. I mean, even here, but the whole structure of it would have been influenced by the American market and figure out how to commercialize it, and then FIFA would adopt it and make it a World Cup.
Yeah. All right, let me back up a little bit. Let me tell my viewers who Kyle Likwai is and how you got involved in this thing.
Sure. Trinidad and Tobago born, grew up in the U.S., went to Howard University, and you know, coming out of there doing sport management and playing football, we were looking at opportunities to get involved in football back in Trinidad. And one summer we went to Virginia Beach, and there's a huge event down there. And as football players, we said, hey, we're going to go down there, knock around on the sand. We'll be playing the beach in Trinidad. It should be a walk in the park for us. And we went down there and we got washed, you know, because it's a whole different version of the game. The technical ability used on the grass is totally different from the sand, but it was exciting. It was fun because we were flicking the ball up, trying bicycle kicks, goalkeeping, back-to-back action, 5v5. So it was very fast-paced, and we said this was exciting, and we didn't know that there was a structured version of the game. So we said, you know, well, upon graduation from university and moving back to Trinidad, we decided to start a tournament in Tobago and see if people would gravitate to the sport. And we started the tournament, people started playing it, having fun in Tobago. Persons who were playing grass came over to the sand, and eventually there was a demand now for a program where we could build a national association out of it, so these guys can now get opportunities to play on a professional and global level. So it just went from tournament into association, international team, and it just kept on growing from there. So we've been back home a few years, and we've seen a steady growing interest in the sport.
No, you have any beach
soccer
players as a nation?
Yeah, I have represented a few of the players, more so Zeko, the goalkeeper, and working with Kyle and some of the other guys. We did have a close relationship with some of the clubs outside, and it's an avenue for some of the players that may have traditionally played with grass and found themselves, whether it be in a lull or just looking for another experience, because the plus with the beach football is that across the world, there are a lot of leagues that happen for 2-3 months. And in my years in Brazil, you know, some of the guys in Brazil, they play in Turkey, then they may go to Italy, they will go to Spain,
Russia.
You know, Russia, and then Switzerland. So it's always like an opportunity that throughout the year, if you're not contracted necessarily with a professional grass football club, you know, beach football is an alternative. And, you know, Kyle has been doing some good work, you know, sensitizing the population, especially the fact that Trinidad and Tobago, we are an island, you know?
Yeah.
So beach football should be something naturally we gravitate towards.
And also Ryan Augustine with Flamengo.
Yes, Flamengo. I had, you know, the captain of the team come across to Brazil because most of the top clubs in Brazil have, you know, a subsidiary that plays the beach football.
All right, he's saying beach football. And you said beach soccer. What is it? Because don't confuse my
I would say my problem is that in Brazil, initially, it was Futebol de Areia, which is technically sand football.
Right.
But beach soccer is actually the official name. Just like futsal got That is the brand, regardless of if it's indoor football, it's futsal, beach soccer is the name.
So it's beach soccer.
Yeah, that's the brand.
So
yeah.
we're going to call it beach soccer
Yes. You
in
can.
this show.
You have to convince Narada to use the right term. and he's involved in it, but yeah, you convince him.
All right, I want us to get a little bit in what's the rules and stuff because I am not familiar with
Yeah.
beach soccer, just running around playing ball on the beach.
Yeah.
And I'm sure my viewers is the same.
Yeah.
So let's get involved in some of the rules of that, and
Yeah.
maybe we can get some other people excited. And
Oh, sure.
want
Yeah.
to join.
Well, one of the reasons why they excited me is that you know, the games, as I said, is 5v5, right? You play 12-minute periods for 3 periods, so it's a 36-minute game. You have flying subs, so you can run on for about 5 minutes, play as hard as you want, come off and do rolling subs. Goalkeepers are very active in the game. Goalkeepers, they score a lot of goals. They play with their hands and their feet, so they could play as a sixth man on the pitch, similar to futsal. Most of the games, they don't end in ties. You know, there's a winner. It goes a penalty shootout, and you get a 2 points if you win on penalties. You know, 3 points if you win outright. Obviously 0 for a loss. You know, so what happens is that it creates that competitive nature where you want to win, and you can see games finishing 10 goals to 8. So it's a lot of goals, a lot of acrobatics, a lot of high flying saves, and it's very technical. You know, a lot of movement and rotation of the ball. Because you have 5 guys, so similar to basketball. If you look at basketball, a lot of movement, crossing, fields overlapping. So it's a very exciting game, but you have to be technically sound to play it. You may not enjoy it when you first start off because you may try to pick up and run, but it involves flicking the ball out the sand, playing with your thigh, looking down the pitch and controlling the ball on your thigh. You know, playing it into the air, taking it on your chest, laying it off. So a lot of the balls are aerial play, and you run a lot of set plays off of it. So it's a very exciting game to watch. Plus, there's also the cheerleading aspect of it, where during the intervals, you know, the beach cheerleaders come on and they excite the crowd. So it's a kind of like a T20 version of football. Yeah, soccer. Yeah.
But you know, it's the ball has to be different. It can't be the regular soccer.
Yes.
Ball. So explain.
Yeah. So,
is it heavier?
Actually, no, it's a light ball, but it's a little more padded. So because you're playing bare feet, right? So, you know, the sand particles and stuff like that. You remember growing up when the ball rolls into the water, gets wet, and you try to hit the ball barefoot, you know, it stings a lot. So the pattern is really nice, where the sand wipes off pretty easily off the ball. And and you know, once you hit that sweet spot, man, it's all action from there, yeah.
Well, it does seem like it is like a volleyball kind of ball?
Well, it'll be a little heavier than the volleyball, because in terms of for goalkeepers throwing a ball all the way across 40 yards, it'll be a little heavier, so the ball can have that trajectory. And it's a 40-yard by 30-yard space to play on, so you would see a lot of direct throws from the goalkeeper. So it's a little heavier, but padded, and that's why a lot of the guys need to have that good touch, because when that ball's coming at you from the goalkeeper, you know, 20, 30 yards, and it's in that pace, you know, you have to have that technical ability.
So where are you guys located in Trinidad now as a home? Because if somebody wants to get in touch with you and to join this team,
most of our information is available via social media. Trinidad and Tobago Beach Soccer Association. You can find us at Beach Soccer TT on Facebook. You could contact us at 7720248, which is my number, and I would put you on to the persons. One of the challenges that we had is that Trinidad, even though we're an island, we don't have the capacity on the beaches to facilitate the official size pitch. So what we've been using so far is a pitch in Chaguanas called Safe Park, which we share that space with volleyball and beach handball. But one of the challenges there is that the sand is not the proper sand for the players to use when they play international tournaments. So the challenge there is getting a pitch with the right sand for them to train properly. So the right sand that we use currently is in Tobago. So a lot of our training camps is actually in Turtle Beach, Tobago. But the challenge there is that 6 months out of the year is turtle nesting, so we can't use the location. So what we do is for small training sessions, we use Maracas Beach, we may use Vestany, and then for practice games, we would use Chaguanas. We would try to turn the sand up as much as possible to make it fluffy, because the sand has to be fluffy and not flat. And then when we want to do some intense international preparation, we head across to Tobago. Currently, under the current TTFA administration, President David John Williams, has a vision of the Gold Project that's currently going on in Ato Boldon Stadium area. And one of the projects is a beach soccer pitch. And I was actually there yesterday watching President David John with a hard hat on, showing me the space. And they're about a month away from completing a beach soccer pitch in Ato Boldon Stadium. So we can now use that as a training venue for our guys to develop their skills, but also start grassroots and leagues, youth leagues, and senior leagues, which was our challenge as well.
It doesn't necessarily have to be close to the beach then.
Exactly. In Switzerland, they play in a park. They drop the sand and they enclose it. They create the bleachers. They create the environment. They turned a tennis court into a beach soccer pitch. And also in Switzerland, they turned a train station inside a train station into a beach soccer tournament. So once you're able to drop sand in and create that atmosphere, you could have it anywhere. So knowing at Trinidad, we don't have those beaches to do the width. We're looking at sand pits where we could use different locations to have tournaments, leagues, and grassroots programs.
So therefore, why don't you track? You said they have it in Tobago, the sand, right?
Yeah,
Is it like a special sand?
Well, the sand there in Tobago, as I mentioned, the width, they have the width on the beach, and the sand there is pretty nice and fluffy, but the sand that we have in Chaguanas is hard and compact. So when it rains, the sand gets difficult for players to scoop the ball or to do bicycle kicks when they're landing. So the sand in Tobago is nice for it. Maracas Beach, Vesni, they're all nice as well. But sometimes you don't get the width depending on the tide and these different kind of things. So to have an untouched area would be a sand pit that they can use during the night with lighting, so they could train after work, because some guys work during the day. And if you go to the beach at 7 o'clock, you won't get lighting. So that was the challenge for us, and we're kind of overcoming that obstacle with this addition to the Gold Project with the beach soccer pitch by the TTFA.
So you guys are going to have to track sand into different beaches around the country.
Well, yeah, but what we did was we contacted a quarry up in Toko, and they grinding the sand and creating the sand to have the weight and the size of the particles that will be suitable for us. So as I mentioned yesterday, I was there at the site, and they brought a couple buckets of sand for sample sizing, and that sand will be assessed to make sure it's the right grade to be used for the Gold Project at Ato Boldon.
Well, I've got a spot for you guys in Point, but do you guys have any special areas that you're looking at to form your home?
Yes, we well, having a home in Couva is great, but first we look at beach soccer as touching rural areas in Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of the talented players that we have on the pitch right now, most of the guys, we have 12 national players, right, on the roster. 6 of them are from Tobago on the national team, and the other 6 are from Trinidad. From Trinidad, we have players from so bad. I want to go where Cool Stafford from. He's from South Trinidad.
Moruga?
Well, we have a player from Moruga as well, who's on our youth team. 2 players actually from Moruga. And
how deep south, like Cedrus, Icacus?
No, but Moruga on that side, and south, close to Point Fortin, we have a player called Cohen Stafford.
Vesini, Lebre?
Past Vesini.
Harry Pero.
Is that close?
Ali Pero is way before.
Before? All right.
Before? Yeah.
Ali Pero is like Oropouche area.
Right, but he trains a lot in Point Fortin, and so he travels up from there to Chaguanas for training. The guys from Moruga were taking taxis to come up to train from Moruga. We had players coming in from Caranage, so a lot of the guys came from areas that were out of the city center and coming to train. And then these 6 guys from Tobago, from Charlottesville, from Plymouth, from what's this next area? Black Rock. So they were all on the sand a lot, so they were able to acclimatize themselves to the surface, and it was easier for them to transfer from the grass onto the beach. So we'd love to have a location in Point Fortin in the southern part of Trinidad. We're having this area in Couva, and that'll be the 2 for now, and then the 1 in Tobago, because it's challenging right now to get something in northern Trinidad. So we're looking at south and central. If we can get something in Point, that'll be ideal for us.
Well, I had the discussion with the mayor already for you guys.
Yes, I heard that.
It's just that we need to get together to. I think the spot is identified. It's just
Yeah.
we need to get together to finalize that.
Yeah, and as I said, it's a very easy setup. It's a 40 yard by 30 yard enclosed box area, and once you get the sand from the quarry, it's easy to drop and maintain. You don't have to cut the grass. You know, it's just sand. So the guys can train there, and also recommendation is that sand is also good for rehab. So a lot of players that are recovering from injury, we help them with sand training as well. Grass players, you know, because Barcelona has a sand pit. Gosh, these guys in AC Milan, they use a sand pit to recover the players. So we can also work on recovery and also preparation and helping the players with their explosiveness, their strength, their balance. You know, that can also translate into the grass game to make our players a little, you know, solid. Ronaldinho plays beach soccer. He played foot volley. So when you see Ronaldinho walk around with these big legs and that touch and that balance, you know, he's been exposed to beach soccer, futsal, and foot volley, along with the grass game. So using all those different components to make a complete player.
But you obviously have to develop your strength
Yeah,
and also skill
skill, correct,
because you can't run with the ball like in a regular soccer.
correct. So then, I mentioned earlier, you're coming on the pitch and you're looking at players moving and the ball is on your thigh.
Right.
But you have to have that your head up, eye down the field, and keeping that control on the thigh.
so you
you
don't
know,
put it down in the sand.
correct. You know, so those are some of the things that you need to elevate your game on the sand.
Do we have players with that much skill?
Yeah, well, I think Kyle and they have been doing a good job at the grassroots level because you have to introduce it at the young age. Presently, we have a couple guys because there were a few guys that made the transition from grass football, the likes of McCann Hislop, who was national team players, going across to the beach football and having a lot of success.
Kevin Woodley.
Woodley as well, who's another player who, you know, plays in the Super League and in the Pro League also, and then he made the transition as a national team top player. But is it something that you'll see as a contributing factor to players in the future, whether it be 10, 15 years, developing their skill, right? If you implement the beach soccer at an early age because of the technique deficiency that some of our players lack later on, is it something that you all are conscious about?
Yes, we are, because we just we introduced it at the under 18 level, right? We had 2 teams compete in the Commonwealth Youth Games in Bahamas, and Trinidad and Tobago had an under 18 boys team and an under 18 girls team. Our under 18 girls team won gold at the Commonwealth Youth Games, and the boys won silver. And these are players that came out of the secondary school program, and the girls, some of them were trying out for the national grass team, and they ended up coming across to the beach game. A couple of the players from the boys team play in the secondary school league for Naparima for presentation, and they said that training on the sand as a goalkeeper has helped them a lot with their game in terms of spring, diving, movement, acceleration to the ball, because they're able to run and do it on the sand, diving on the sand and getting up to make a second save. So also they're shooting, because they're now shooting in the game. So now the goal kicks, the goalkeepers are taking goal kicks and driving the ball straight through to reaching the half line. So some of the things that they learned on the sand is translating into their secondary school game. And one of the players from the youth team got a chance to go and train with a club team in Florida, and came right back into the secondary school league and went all the way through the season using what he learned on the beach, and it helped him with his game. Jabari, his name is Jabari. Yeah, Jabari Gray.
Okay, we need to take a break now, but when we come back, I want you to tell me your plans for getting the younger people involved in the game of beach soccer.
Sure, I'm excited.
Viewers will be right back after the short break.
We are inspired. We are practiced. We learn. We have challenges. We are supported. We persevere. And we shine. This is our commitment to you.
you're now changing your question.
What I would say, Steve, is this.
But my first question was, and roll back that tape.
I made my debut for Crystal Palace against Tottenham Hotspur.
My responsibility was to get the ball and make things happen offensively.
All the time we've played together, I've always been the decoy.
Welcome to Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David, and I'm your host. Okay, welcome back, viewers. Before the break, we said we were going to come back with how you guys were doing with getting the younger players involved.
Yeah.
But guess what happened? We got one player who just dropped in on us, and his name is Chad Apu. Chad, welcome to the set.
Thanks for having me. Sorry for jumping in this late.
It's all right. You just floated in on a little raft coming in. Tell the viewers who Chad is.
Chad Apu, national beach soccer player, and also recently coach of our under-18 men and women's team.
That's beach soccer as well?
Beach soccer, yeah.
Okay, so that's all you get involved with, beach soccer?
Beach soccer. I mean, previously I also played professionally the grass game. I played in Pro League, I played Mapao, Jabloteh, played school football. That's the traditional grass game. Right. But since I've been introduced to beach soccer, I've fully transitioned into the beach. I may occasionally take a fet match here and there, you know, with friends, family. But to say I'm pursuing a professional career in grass anymore is no more.
You have too much skill for the grass now.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. Just a different type of game that I enjoy.
Right.
I enjoy more.
Right. But you kind of fit the bill. I like you. You look like a beach guy.
I look like I played the part.
So you fit the bill. That's good. All right. So yeah, like before the break, we said we were gonna talk about how are you getting the younger people involved so we can keep this thing going.
Yeah, well, what we do is everywhere that we go, we touch with youth programs and camps. So a couple summers, we partnered with Sport Company, and we would have done youth clinics on Vestini Beach, in Guapo by Clifton Hill. Right. We have done down in Moruga, and also in Chagonas and in Tobago. So during the summer, we use that time to try and get the kids to come out and play the game. Every so often, we would try to do something, you know, where we go down and touch different communities, where we set up goals and cones and have them have fun and introduce them to the game. And then from that interest, you know, we show them the opportunities that they can have with this, now the under-18 program or the senior level. Also in Tobago, we have the Tobago Beach Soccer Championship, where the younger players come there and they also get a chance to play, but also do a kids camp that same weekend with some of the international beach soccer players that fly in from Brazil, all over Europe, and they get that exposure. So that's what we've been doing, introducing them. And with the introduction of Chad and the under-18 program, some of those same younger players that did the camps in Vestini 3 years ago, they made the team to travel to the Commonwealth Youth Games. So that gave us an idea of, you know, the impact we had on them 3 years ago, and them now representing Trinidad and Tobago at a national level.
So, well, Chad is the perfect person to tell us about the transition, because he made the transition from regular thing. So, Chad, come on and tell us the players who are playing regular football now, how they're going to...
Oh, from the traditional grass game to the beach.
And what are the difficulties you encounter? Are there any?
Gotcha. Of course, the natural transition, and most of the players, I know you all had Zane previously on the show as well. I remember his first session, they quick to run back to the grass game, because it's natural that your first couple of sessions is not anything you're accustomed to, just the playing surface alone. The unpredictability of the sun is what makes the game lovable, but also as a player, at times you may also not like it. It's frustrated. It's not someone you may be accustomed. You make a pass along the carpet, as they say, and the ball flows smoothly. In the sand, you try the same thing, it stick in the sand, and you know, so that's just the first natural thing. A couple of our coaches, let's say maybe 5 years ago, we had a Brazilian coach by the name of Alexandre Suarez, right? A very well-renowned coach in the beach soccer game. And one of the first sessions, I remember when he came, we spent our first 2-3 sessions just running on the sand. That would be your first session. You're not touching any ball, you're just getting your feet accustomed, your muscles to just running in sand. So of course it's how to say, it's a bit...
It's a lot more strenuous than running in the grass?
Yeah, definitely. But again, it's something you get accustomed to. It's just a different type of fitness you require also. In the beach game, you allowed the substitutions. I would say it's more similar to how basketball operates because you can go in and out. So you'll find that average most times a player will play 4 or 5 minutes, but it's at a high intensity. It's just 5 players on the pitch at a time, 4 on a goalkeeper in sand. So you'll play 4 or 5 minutes, 6, 7 or so, then you come out. You rest and you go back in. So it's not a continuous 90-minute game or 45-minute half. So the type of fitness that they require is a bit different than the traditional game, for sure.
It sounds like indoor soccer in the U.S.
Correct. Similar to how
But it only is
futsal
out
would play
on the beach.
And I think something that is also challenging is the physiological side of things because of the uneven surfaces with the sand. And now you're tapping into muscles that you probably never used, you know, so the pain intensity is a bit more in the early sessions, you know. But I also think it's an opportunity for persons like Chad, for example. He could say, attest. So when you played the game in Trinidad, you probably went abroad and you came back. If you know you didn't want the grass lifestyle, there's no another alternative because Chad has been successful over the years in attaining contracts to play in abroad. And you know, he could talk on what of his some of his experiences in playing abroad in some of the leagues across the world.
Yeah, definitely, as Narada said, and it's something that I try to pass on to particularly next generation. I think a lot of us growing up playing football, we all have dreams similar to myself. You want to become a professional grass player in whoever your favorite team may be. But again, for me, it was just a different avenue to still get to travel the world, explore, and also make a bit of a career out of it as well. Right? I was fortunate in 2014, myself and David McDougall, a Tobago bass player, that we got the opportunity to sign the first professional contracts out of Trinidad and Tobago. We went to Switzerland, Chargers Basel. That's a team that they've been to the Tobago Championships how many times now? Maybe 5 or 6 times. They've won it, I think, the last 3 times. Well, not last year, 3 times before that. And they gave us the opportunity to come. And from there, a lot of different doors have been opened. Zane Coker has been to Switzerland as well. Victor Thomas, Captain Ryan Augustin, been to Italy, different Portugal. And we've had a lot of different players make breakthroughs where that's concerned. For me, and I know definitely for the association, what we're really looking at is getting the next generation now to get to that level. Definitely for me, we started at, I would have been 22, 23. And I just sort of always think back, what if I found beach football, I should say, at age 17, 18. You know, I think by now I would have had a lot more accolades to my name, possibly. So, but of course that's gone. The focus now is on the next generation of players, which we have a lot of talented guys and girls, let me know, because I know when they see this, they'll be down on me if I leave them out. But we have a lot of guys now that also playing on the national under-20 grass team who went to the Commonwealth Games with us. A lot of the standouts from last year's secondary school football league, Jordan Riley, made the all-star teams, goalkeeper Jabari Gray, and a lot of those guys, I know definitely they want to pursue their career in grass, but definitely is an option for them that they can go where the beach is concerned.
Kyle, how do we stack up against the international competition?
Oh, well, that's a very good question. We brag a lot because we at one point we were ranked the #1 team in the Caribbean, and we were number 5 in CONCACAF. Sorry. So we were able to use our program as a testimony to a lot of the other smaller islands. You know, now Antigua is now playing beach soccer. You know, Barbados has a national team now. Virgin Islands, Jamaica is playing. So Bahamas was the first team in the Caribbean to start playing beach soccer, and Jamaica, and then Trinidad. And from there, we have 9 teams in the CONCACAF qualifiers from the Caribbean. And we stack up pretty well. We missed out on the World Cup we missed out on going to the semi-final game of the qualifiers of CONCACAF by 2-1 against Costa Rica. And Costa Rica ended up scoring in the last minute of the game, and Costa Rica ended up going up to the World Cup. You know, so when it comes to that level, we were pretty high. We even played in a tournament called the Lucayan Cup in Bahamas a couple of years ago, and in that tournament was a 3-nation tournament: Trinidad and Tobago, Bahamas, and Mexico, current CONCACAF champions in beach soccer. And Chad and the boys were able to beat Mexico 5-4. The first time a Caribbean team beat a Central American powerhouse in beach soccer. and we won that trophy there. So from there, a lot of our players started getting recognized and getting invited to a lot of the international events, and also getting calls to help develop players in other countries. Advise what do you guys do. So within the region, we fare pretty well. We have not had the opportunity to play any international teams because most of the competition we get would be CONCACAF competition. So we haven't had a chance. Oh, actually, no.
England.
We played England, sorry. Yes, we played England last February.
3-3.
We tied with England 3-3. It was a preparation game for the World Cup qualifiers in Bahamas. And we got England to come down to Barbados. And in that tournament was Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Guyana, Antigua. And England came down as the guest team. And we were the only team out of all the Caribbean teams to tie 3-3 with England, who is also a beach soccer powerhouse. So our guys know the game pretty well, and I think the reason was because a lot of them have traveled. Most of the players have played outside, whether it's the U.S. circuit in California, Miami, Virginia Beach, or Michigan, and the rest of the guys go across the ocean to Europe to play, and a couple guys even had a chance to go to Brazil. So we have the most experience in terms of players on the current national squad compared to all the other national programs, and also we have pound for pound, we have more skillful players.
Right.
So it's not all about size and strength. I mean, Chad is one of the smallest guys, but technically, everyone comes to see him play in Bahamas and wherever he goes.
Right. But I heard you mention you have 12 players. That's your full team?
The roster, every travel roster is 12 players. So we have a pool of about 20-something players, but when we travel, only 12 can go. And the last time it was a even balance. We had 6 Tobagonian players and 6 Trinidadian players.
I must commend Kyle and Dave for the commitment to some of these players, because I have been fortunate enough to go to some of the training sessions, and boiling down to 12 players is pretty difficult because they usually start off with 20-something, and these guys are going every day, every week to training, and then you have the hard decision of taking, cutting down to that final 12. So it is a bit more competitive to some extent. They're not struggling to get players, and that's something I think that whatever implementation you all have put in, making persons aware of the football, the beach soccer, that people are really interested, and I hope it continues, for a long period of time. What are some of the aspirations in the future for the beach soccer program? Mind sharing with us?
As we touched before, just continuing that youth push. And setting up a league and opportunity for them to play. And with the introduction of this pitch in Couva, and hopefully one in Point Fortin, we will be able to get some nice youth leagues going, some grassroots programs or sand root programs, where we can introduce them to this game at an even younger age. And also education. One of the things that people say, oh, well, if you're not good enough to play grass, you're going to play on the sand. That's not true. To play on the sand, you may need to be a little technically more skillful and being on the grass. Some of these skill sets needed. If
you don't mind just interjecting there, there's a lot of players that you'll recognize that played in beach soccer World Cups, right? Eric Cantona played for France, Edgar Davids, and while we all know their accolades as grass players, I don't think anyone will say they came to the beach game and were the best beach soccer players. It's similar in certain aspects, but it's still an entirely different sport on its own. The techniques that you need to learn and practice. Right? So just to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, earlier we were talking about just having that awareness on the pitch while keeping the ball in the air, and that's something that he does really well. So he kind of dictates the movement of the players, and they now feel off of each other. So you know that if you play a ball into a guy's chest, some guys are taking straight off the chest into a bicycle kick. Now when some of these guys go back on the grass, they're taking balls on the chest and hitting bicycle kicks and catching goalkeepers off guard, because on the grass, a goalkeeper is not expecting you to chest into a bike right away. So there is some kind of carryover when you go back to the grass game. But coming from the grass game across, some of the challenges that we said is the skills that you would need to make that transition and not be frustrated, as Chad mentioned before. But to touch on some of the things that we have going forward, yes, the aspiration is to get that league going with the youth, get the grassroots program going, and also to have a senior national league so we can increase the talent pool and make it more competitive for guys to come and take his spot.
Is Chad the captain?
No,
Ryan Augustine.
yeah, the captain is Ryan Augustine. He's the one that played in Russia,
Yeah.
and he also played in Brazil with Flamengo training camp. Very, very quality player as well.
Is our Trinidad and Tobago Football Association giving you guys any help or assistance in getting this going?
Yes. Every time we travel, we represent Trinidad and Tobago Football Association as a national team.
Mm-hmm.
So the funds to get the players out, camps, preparation, they allocate a budget for beach soccer. So last year we had players from Barcelona come down to help them prepare to go off to the World Cup. And the FA would have taken care of those expenses and getting us to Barbados for that same preparation tournament against England, and then getting us across to Bahamas. So they do help for the qualifying part. For the development part, it's more so in our hands to get the development side of things going. But for international competition, they step in and they help. And now, as I mentioned, the Gold Project, they're putting down a beach soccer pitch for us to use, so we would have a home to play and train. So they have been supportive thus far. It took a while, trying to show them the benefits of the sport. But now that they're seeing the accolades and they're excited, and they're seeing gold medals coming back home, silver medals coming back home, and we're doing pretty good. Out of all the national programs, our national team has been doing fairly well.
Chad.
Yep.
What do you see our weaknesses are, or things that we need to improve on that can make us a better team?
Definitely, I'll say, and just from my experience in traveling abroad, is that the guys, a lot of my teammates, friends from Europe, they play year-round. For a lot of us, myself included, the European seasons would last 4 to 5 months. It could stretch as much as 6, depending on which league you go to. And that would be mostly during the summertime. The problem, I would say, occurs after that season is finished and we return home. We get back here. Then forms, well, you can understand, those are the players, they will return to, Brazilians will go back to Brazil and they continue their training program with their different clubs. When we come back here, we don't necessarily have any club teams as yet. As Kyle rightfully said, the aim is to develop a league and whatnot. So I would say one of the only differences is just that they play year-round, whereas us, we'll come back home and it'll be a break before we really train at an intense level again.
I just said that we're going to take a break now, but I want you to tell me when we come back, don't we have an advantage because we have
On an island?
great weather compared
I
to
guess,
the ones?
but I would show, and I'll share with some photos after. In Switzerland, they've built indoor stadiums in Russia as well that has heated sand and all of these nice things. So while I would say yes, is an advantage, we're a Caribbean island, we're surrounded by the beaches. It still require, it's how to say, we can't just go to Maracas and play a beach soccer game. There's stipulations, pitch sizes, stuff like that.
Let's talk a little bit about that when we come back. We need to take a break.
Will do.
Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
We are inspired. We are practiced. We learn. We have challenges. We are supported. We persevere. And we shine. This is our commitment to you.
You're now changing your question.
What I would say, Steve, is this.
But my first question was, and roll back that tape.
I made my debut for Crystal Palace against Tottenham Hotspur.
My responsibility was to get the ball and make things happen offensively.
All the time we've played together, I've always been the decoy.
Welcome to Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David, and I'm your host. Okay, welcome back. Chad, we were talking about...
Stevie. Yeah, man.
Not the problems, but
disadvantages,
challenges or disadvantages that or advantages that we have compared to disadvantage. But it sounds as though they have some advantages as well with the money, and they can build different stadiums and make conditions right.
Correct.
Tell us some.
So, like I was touching on before, it's interesting for me. We went to Switzerland. First contract we signed, you're going to Switzerland to play beach, but they're not surrounded by any beaches, right? When you got there, it's all artificial pitches, man-made. They would set up pitches like for weekend tournaments and break them down. So they would do something, for example, there was one in an old train station that they had. They basically just sort of shut down the train station, threw sand, set up the goalpost, built a temporary pavilion and play there. They would do the same thing in like a mall car park.
Right.
And they would build a full-on pitch and break it down by the end of the weekend.
Right.
But it's obvious they have the resources, the money, that they can't afford to do that. Their league there. Definitely for us, I think, yes, the weather conditions are perfect. We can afford to run a beach soccer league any time of the year. We can run a league January, February, all the way to December. All right? And that's definitely the idea that I think we should go. The European leagues run in the summertime. There's leagues in a big tournament, Copa Lagos, which runs in Africa. That's when it'll be around November, December. Yeah. You know, we can then fit our league into wherever we can, fit it in, and then we can also encourage players from Europe to come here. Right. So hopefully that's the idea. I know for that to happen, well, we need to first get our pitch, which, from what I understand, should be ready for us soon. Right. So.
But one thing they don't have is our agility, though. Trinidadian, Brazilian, we're just more agile. We're more flexible than a lot of the European kind of.
Yeah, definitely. I'll say a lot of my European teammates, they're a little bit more robust. They train and everything is to a system. But definitely the Caribbean players, not just us, Jamaicans, when you see them playing the qualifiers, they're always the ones willing to try something a little bit more out of the ordinary that may work,
Bicycle
so definitely Brazilians particularly, a lot of flair and flicks and tricks, whereas the English guys sort of a little bit more
regimented,
programmed. And that, I mean, I'd say that on one end, but on the other end, something like you give one of those guys a free kick, which is a dead ball situation. They've practiced that over how many ever thousands of times. Most free kicks, your keeper need to either save or you're going to concede, most times. So it's two sides to it as well.
It seems as though they shoot from everywhere.
Definitely. Definitely.
It doesn't have any, it just can get an open in the crack and you crack it.
Right, and that's one of the things I forgot to mention earlier when we talked about the game, is that any foul is a direct free kick without a wall. So they try to encourage minimal fouling, because you can hit a shot from 20 yards out, and it's a cracker, like you mentioned. So the game is supposed to flow. Right.
What I also touch on, the FIFA and Beach Soccer Worldwide, they try to encourage the game to be as entertaining as possible. So they also sort of protect the attacking players. So, for example, there's a rule: if I prepare a ball to go for a bicycle kick, no player can come and get in the way of that. You need to block, but you can't necessarily go and intercept it once you start the bicycle motion. So, of course, they try to encourage it to be as exciting. They want high-scoring games. I think at the last World Cup, the average goals per game was 7 point something. Yeah. So each average beach soccer game you watch, a game is 36 minutes, you're almost guaranteed to see 7 goals. So they try to encourage that, a lot of more acrobatic bicycle kicks, stuff like that. Yeah.
And it's also, I think that there's also a rule about the entertainment factor of the game.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes. One of the rules is that music has to be playing for a game to start. So they try to create
that's a FIFA rule. That's not a Kylie Kouai rule.
That's not our rule. That's FIFA rule.
That's not distracting?
But it's not, well, we can talk from a player's perspective.
I mean, to an extent, you just sort of, any beach soccer game you would have played, the first one you played had music in it, so it's just normal. It's not like it was a changed rule. Like there was no music and then they came and they said, hey, we're going to add music. So for me now, that's just part of the game. You're going to hear music while you play.
How you hear the whistle?
No, the whistle, the referee on the pitch, so you hear the whistle. Yeah. I mean, the music is not drowning out the entire stadium. But there is music that has to be played.
They raise the level of music when they go on break. They raise it up for the whole stadium to enjoy themselves. But when they're playing, it's on, but it's not as loud as before. Yeah. So when they train, our manager usually has like a big boom box at the training pitch, or he has his car on with the speakers high, so these guys could train with the sound around them and that kind of thing to kind of duplicate that experience.
So on the field communication does not.
No, it's not. I said the music is not loud enough to affect that, but definitely you're gonna hear songs playing, music. It's not even just like rhythm; it's actual full-on songs. You might hear a Marshall drop in the middle of your game against Mexico, like that. Then you'll also hear a Mexican song play right after, however the case is.
Yeah,
so.
But you hear Marshall drop and you put your foot on the ball and you might want to.
Well, so that's.
Want to say, hey.
That's just part of it, but
and actually that was funny because the same tournament I mentioned, the tournament where we beat Bahamas and Mexico in Bahamas, one of the things that the commentator was saying is that whenever these guys were playing and soca music started to play, he says it looks like soca gives these guys their powers.
Energy, right.
You know, so when we played against Bahamas, they did not play any soca music in the venue during our game, you know, to try and not give us an advantage, you know. But when we played Mexico and the soca music played, that you start to see the guys playing with a different sense of urgency, a different kind of, you said, the swag was different, and we beat Mexico 5-4, you know. So so they took note of that for the next day, and they stopped playing soca. You know.
So what can we do to help promote the game better? So we can have more awareness because I don't know the rules obviously, but I've heard they talk about beach soccer. But again, beach soccer is just something that people talk about and it's getting more popular. But still, we want it to be like regular soccer. Like
I think we have to. I think it's a multifaceted approach. One of the things I said is education on the youth level, because once the kids are attracted to it and they play and they would share it, especially through the technology and the social media. We have a lot of kids asking us and even messaging him, you know, how can I get involved when I can train, when I want to be a part of it. And then they see their friends doing things. They see their 17-year-old friend flying to Bahamas to play, and then they're seeing him in Portugal playing. So they're looking at, you know, well, how can I get involved through the technology, the messages sent there. The other way for us now to really tap into it is really having visible playing happening on the island. So you might be driving on the street, right? And you know, as I mentioned, very difficult. How often will you drive down Manzanilla Strip or Toko? So we have to be in locations now, like sandpits, like in Switzerland, where you're driving past and you see an activity. Hey, what's going on there? Beach soccer's playing. So it's more in your face, direct marketing, and also the party element. That's what Trinidadians feed off of. So beach soccer already has that component. So you could do soccer events tied into entertainment, a concert or whatever it is. You have the drinks, the coolers, and the beach soccer playing at a very high level. And that's the thing. When persons see them play, they would not, they'll be shocked because they're like, wow, we have players playing at that level here, you know? Whereas if you go on the beach and you see guys kicking around, you know, it doesn't look as organized and structured. So we need to be direct in the face. And I think the league will help with that, as well as the introduction, like he mentioned, of the players coming here. They also have a lull outside of the European season, and we can get these guys who would be the equivalent of Messi on grass. We can have him come to Trinidad and play and train in our league here during the off-season. And that's a phone call for us because of that network that we've built. So I think once Trinidadians start seeing that direct marketing, we start getting more entertainment elements involved in events that we're doing, and using the youth and the technology. I think those are 3 areas that we can really push the sport out there.
What I would touch on, you was asking about getting the awareness. And what I would have observed is, again, touching back on that, for us, it's more of a seasonal thing as opposed to year-round at the moment. Definitely when it's around qualifiers time, you would see, and my mom has all of them cut out at home. That's why I know every newspaper wants to be playing, wants to be active. Every newspaper, back page, all news broadcasts. But then that's just every 2 years we go to World Cup qualifiers, and that would be for about a month period or so. So in the downtime, that's when, as you say, we need to get more games going. Touching back again, I think definitely with the pitch, if we can get a quick, easy exhibition game going and we play Trinidad and Tobago versus Venezuela because we also have a good link with a lot of players there in the Venezuela national team, something like that, an exhibition game at the pitch in Couva. I think that alone would attract, you know. I would even say on my end, I have a lot of close friends and family members who've actually never seen me play live outside of, you know, they'll watch games on stream or on TV or whatever the case is, but to say live in Trinidad, it's never really happened, you know. So even on that aspect, where I think the future shaping up.
Yeah, I think venues have a part to play. So if we get something in Point Fortin, I know Point Fortin is a football frenzy area. You know, I think those areas will also bring out some support and education for the sport as well.
I'll get the ideal spot for you. So you guys contact me, and then we're gonna go see the mayor, and we're gonna make that happen.
Appreciate
but what about sponsorship, though? You guys have anybody who back you? Because of course everything financially is important. Who you have backing you, or who you have trying to make that happen?
A lot of the times, as I mentioned, sport company would have played a part in supporting us with the TTFA. Anything that we do in Tobago, THA, they're on board 100%. And the tournament in Tobago brings a lot of sponsors as well. We would have Ministry of Tourism. We would have brands like Carib. Quite a few. Can't remember them off the top of my head. But they would come on board for a lot of the events that we're doing. But now for the programs that we're rolling out, a lot of it would have been TTFA and the sport company supporting the programs.
I know we might have to go to a break. I see my boy signaling there. One thing I want to touch on that, on my end as a player, we would have gotten some support as well from the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, particularly when we flew out to go play different tournaments. They would assist with covering airfare, which makes it now more attractive for a team to say, well, hey, we're getting these players from Trinidad and Tobago. We don't really have to pay the airfare. That's for sure. Let's bring them on, and now we can work with them, better facilitate them. The reality is, a team in Italy, while they're very interested in having Trinidad and Tobago players, it's also very easy for them to say, let's just get a guy from Spain or a guy from Portugal his flight might cost us 50 euros if I find a good flight. All right, but definitely the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs have assisted myself personally. I know definitely Ryan Augustine, Hakeem King, other players with traveling and airfare mostly, right, which of course we're always grateful for. We had a couple of meetings as well with the Minister, Darrell Smith. That would have been last year when we returned. And I know that definitely they given us their backing. Of course, I would sit and say I wish it was more support, but we're still grateful for what we received from them, definitely.
My concern is really building within. I mean, how do we make this a bigger deal in Trinidad? And you get more people involved and more players, and you need a league and all that kind of stuff.
It's a commercially viable model.
Similar to how the T20 kicked off here, from Test cricket or one-day games to the T20. I think beach soccer is the T20 version of. So
why do you guys have a T20 kind of version?
I think what has to happen is, I think Kyle has to bring the tournament, because the tournament has been successful for years in Tobago. One of the tournaments that they've been dealing with. You know, you're getting teams from Barcelona, you know, Brazil national team and stuff. And I think what has to happen is, because Trinidad is the mainland, I think he has to find a way to now make a yearly tournament in Trinidad to captivate the masses. Because Tobago is a small group. A lot of the Trinis go across, but somehow you have to get the buy-in of Trinidad to sell it to the entire country. And I think that is something
and that came down to the venue and location. That's really what it is.
End point. That's it.
So you can imagine we can get Brazil's national team to play Trinidad and Tobago in Point Fortin.
Right.
And that's something I'm sure the Point Fortin citizens would enjoy.
We'll love it. And we will make that happen.
And that's a phone call for us. We can call Brazil tomorrow. And I'm talking about Brazil, not 5 guys who from Brazil. And no, this is Brazil's national beach soccer team. You know, we can call, as I said, England. So we can bring that to the area, but just that these guys are not coming to play on a pitch that's not up to standard. You know, so those are the things that we have to facilitate for their arrival. But once we have that, we can get anyone, and they're willing to come here and play. We have that contact.
So in March now, let's take 1 year to make that happen in Point.
That'll be ideal, because 1 year time, 1 year is World Cup qualifiers. So it could be a nice springboard for them to use it right before they go off to qualifiers.
Right, right. That sounds like a plan. What do you think, Narada?
I think we could do that. We could work
Yeah,
on that.
Yeah, for sure. You don't have to say anymore. You know, for sure we're on board.
All right, I've got one more minute for you guys to make any plea, any parting words that you want to.
I'll take you first 30 seconds now.
Just thanks for the support. Thanks for having us here as well and continuing to spread the message. It's always a pleasure for us to share my experiences about the game. I look forward to doing a lot more work with you guys covering the game. Feel free to call me anytime. Appreciate it. Thanks.
We will call you anytime. All right.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great sport. I think it's something that people would naturally gravitate to. It's a low-cost sport. You don't have to buy football boots or shin pads or anything. You could come out in a shorts and you're barefoot.
Right.
You know, so it's something that any kid can play in Trinidad and Tobago, and we would encourage them to look at the sport. You will see us around. You know, we have great plans and we have great persons in the program. And now that we have support from you guys, and I know Point Fortin is a big hub, I think this is an opportunity for us to continue to expand the visibility of the sport.
Okay. Narada, you.
Now, for me, we have a year's work to
Right.
try and get them down to point. So that's fine. I am committed to that.
All right. ACTN, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in every Monday night. And we do repeat Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Chad and Kyle, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate
Thanks
you.
for having us. Thanks for having
And
us.
hopefully I can get you guys in Point Fortin real soon.
Oh, yeah, and I know
and
that's
play
your
some
hometown.
soccer.
Yes.
Narada, thank you again for being here.
Always a pleasure, Steve.
And viewers, we do have a Facebook page. You can check us out. And we do have an email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. You can drop us a line. The show is ended. Go in peace. My name is Steve David. I'll see you next Monday night. Good day.